Good morning. Ukrainian drones just struck one of Russia's biggest oil refineries, sparking massive fires and disrupting fuel supplies. I'm Remo, and this is the Daily Signal for September 15th, 2025. Stay tuned for the rest of the stories.
Unfiltered. Now,
Here are the other top stories for September 15th, 2025. Romania becomes second NATO country this week to report Russian drone violations in its airspace. Israel launches massive strikes on Gaza high-rises as cabinet prepares ground invasion vote for hostage rescue. Philippine President Marcos names 4 powerful investigators to probe billions in flood control corruption. Qatar's prime minister demands Israel face punishment while vowing to continue ceasefire negotiations. UK Prime Minister Starmer defends peaceful protest rights after violent anti-migrant demonstrations sweep Britain. Marine Le Pen cranks up pressure on French President Macron ahead of make-or-break budget talks. China fires back at Trump's 100% tariff threats with defiant trade war rejection. Nepal's new prime minister calls for calm after deadly protests rock the mountain nation. Wayne Rooney pays heartfelt tribute to boxing champion and friend Ricky Hatton. Now let's dive into each story. Breaking overnight, Ukrainian forces launched a devastating drone strike on one of Russia's top oil refineries, triggering massive fires that are still burning this morning. The attack targeted critical fuel infrastructure, causing significant operational shutdowns. Here's what happened. Multiple Ukrainian drones penetrated Russian air defenses and struck the refinery complex, disrupting fuel supplies crucial to Russia's military operations. Russian officials condemned the attack and immediately increased air defense around all critical energy infrastructure. This matters because these strikes are part of Ukraine's strategic campaign to cripple Russia's war machine by targeting revenue sources and military logistics. Each successful strike on Russian energy infrastructure reduces Moscow's ability to fund and fuel its ongoing invasion. The escalation shows Ukraine's growing capability to strike deep inside Russian territory, fundamentally changing the conflict's dynamics. Russia's energy sector, a cornerstone of its economy and war effort, is now under sustained attack. Meanwhile, in Eastern Europe, Romania has become the second NATO country in just 1 week to report unauthorized Russian drone flights in its airspace. This marks a dangerous escalation in hybrid warfare tactics targeting NATO members. The Romanian government immediately activated air defense protocols and is coordinating with NATO headquarters on intelligence sharing. These violations follow similar incidents in Poland, indicating a pattern of Russian provocations along NATO's eastern border. Here's why this matters. These drone incursions represent direct violations of NATO territory, testing the alliance's resolve and response capabilities. Each violation heightens the risk of military confrontation between Russia and NATO forces. The timing is critical. These incursions occur as NATO members increase military aid to Ukraine and strengthen eastern defenses. Russia appears to be testing boundaries while NATO faces decisions about escalating support for Ukraine. In the Philippines, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. just named 4 heavyweight investigators to lead an independent commission targeting billions in flood control corruption spanning multiple presidencies. The star-studded team includes former Supreme Court Justice Andres Reyes Jr. as chairman, former Public Works Secretary Rogelio Singson, audit expert Rosana Fajardo, and Baguio Mayor Benjamin Magalong as special advisor. Combined, they wield unprecedented investigative powers. This probe matters because recent typhoons exposed massive failures in flood control systems, with investigations revealing that billions meant for disaster protection were siphoned off through corrupt contracts. Immigration alerts have been issued for 43 suspects, with some contractors already fleeing the country. The commission will investigate projects dating back to previous administrations, signaling Marcos's commitment to cleaning house. With the Philippines facing increasingly severe weather events, effective flood control is literally a matter of life and death for millions of citizens. Breaking from Gaza, Israel launched major airstrikes on high-rise buildings in Gaza City just hours before a critical cabinet meeting to discuss launching a ground invasion aimed at rescuing hostages. The strikes targeted residential towers and infrastructure, with the Israeli military saying they hit militant positions. The cabinet meeting will decide whether to authorize ground operations specifically focused on hostage recovery missions. Here's the critical detail. Hostage situations fundamentally complicate military strategy, creating pressure for rapid action while risking both civilian and captive lives. A ground invasion would mark the most significant escalation in months. Qatar's prime minister simultaneously demanded Israel face punishment for recent strikes while vowing to continue ceasefire mediation efforts. This diplomatic double track reflects the region's desperate search for de-escalation even as violence intensifies. In France, Marine Le Pen is turning the screws on President Emmanuel Macron ahead of crucial budget negotiations that could make or break his presidency. Le Pen's far-right party is demanding tougher immigration policies and fiscal reforms in exchange for budget support. Without her cooperation, Macron faces potential legislative gridlock that could paralyze his government. This matters because France's budget talks will determine the country's economic direction amid rising social tensions and nationalist pressure. Le Pen is capitalizing on public frustration to extract maximum political concessions from Macron's weakened administration. Across the Channel, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer defended citizens' rights to peaceful protest after violent anti-migrant demonstrations erupted across Britain. Starmer condemned violence while emphasizing democratic expression rights, walking a careful line between public order and civil liberties. Migration remains one of the UK's most divisive political issues post-Brexit. The demonstrations reflect deepening social tensions over immigration levels, forcing the government to balance security concerns with fundamental democratic rights. China rejected Trump's threat of 100% tariffs, stating it won't participate in escalating trade wars, underscoring ongoing U.S.-China economic tensions. Nepal's new prime minister called for calm after deadly protests rocked the nation, highlighting ongoing political instability in the strategic mountain country. Former footballer Wayne Rooney paid tribute to boxing champion Ricky Hatton, celebrating their friendship and Hatton's sporting legacy. Looking at today's stories, three major themes emerge that will shape the coming week. First, hybrid warfare is intensifying across multiple fronts. From Ukrainian drone strikes deep in Russia to Romanian airspace violations, we're seeing the conflict's boundaries expand beyond traditional battlefields. Second, political pressure is mounting on leaders worldwide. Whether it's Macron facing Le Pen's demands, Starmer managing protest rights, or Marcos launching corruption probes, governments are responding to increasing public demands for accountability. Third, diplomatic efforts continue even amid escalating violence. Qatar's dual approach of condemning Israel while maintaining ceasefire talks reflects the challenging balance between principles and pragmatic peacemaking. These stories connect because they show how local pressures are creating global instability. From Eastern European security to Asian trade tensions, interconnected challenges require coordinated responses. The key takeaway: we're entering a period where domestic politics and international security increasingly overlap, making every local decision potentially global in its implications. That's your Daily Signal for September 15th, 2025. I'm Remo. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you tomorrow as these stories continue developing.
Unfiltered. Now.